Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tammy Talk Show. I'm so glad you decided to join us on this evening. We have a great topic that we're going to talk about today. We're going to have a good conversation on this evening. So I want you all to just tune in and, and just listen to the conversation, share it with your friends. Go ahead and add your friends on, put it out there so everybody can hear the conversation on tonight. It's going to be very interesting, and we want you to get involved in the conversation and listening to what will be said on tonight. Our topic tonight is creating your vision. I have my guest that will be talking on that subject tonight. My guest is named Zach Williams. He's going to share with us some of the things that he did to create his vision and to get things going and going in the direction that he wanted to go in his life. He's a very intelligent young man, very smart young man. I have heard of all the things that he's done in this community and the things that he's doing right now, the degrees that he has. My first question to Zach is tonight. I'm going to wait a few more minutes to some more people come on.
Okay.
Going to chat a little bit. I'm going to talk about the vision anyway. You know that y'all know that I'm a preacher or whatever, but I'm going to talk about it right now. In Habakkuk 2 and 2, Habakkuk 2 and 2, it states, "And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain, write it up on the table, that he may run that readeth there." It's saying that you may run when you read this vision. So I'm telling you all tonight to write your vision and make it plain. Go ahead and put it on pen, what you want to do in life, how you want to do it. And as you write it down, just go by your plan. Listen to what you have already written and look at the details of what you have placed on that paper and that pen. You know, if you don't just put it on a pad, put it on a vision board, whatever it is, write it and make it plain. And then the third part of it said, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. It will happen." You got to make it happen. So I'm telling you on tonight to make your vision happen. I do believe that Zach Williams made his vision come to pass. He did the right things. He did everything he had to do to make sure that it happened. You know, maybe it didn't go exactly like he wanted it at first, but he stuck to it. And I do believe he made his vision happen because of the things that I've seen him do in this community and the things that I have seen even on Facebook. I've seen some of his work and his conversations that he have had with people on his show. I've seen how he's doing things in the community. So if there's some things that you want to do to change your life or do in this community, just get out there and do it. Make your vision happen. Make it plain. Write it on the table. Write it on some paper like this and put it out there and say, "This is my vision. This is what I want to happen." So I see that so many people have already joined us. So we're going to go on into the conversation. Zach, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, how you got started, where your dreams started, and your goals. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm from Macon. I'm Zach. I'm from Macon. Very involved in the community. Do a lot of philanthropic work. A lot of behind the scenes work. I'm the CEO of a company called the Liaison Initiative. And pretty much what we do, we go into government organizations, private corporations, and we do trainings on racial diversity and leadership, mental health, things of that nature.
Oh, okay. Okay. Could you share with us some of the degrees that you have?
I have 2 bachelors. I have my master's, and I'm currently working on a doctorate degree now.
Okay, very smart man. See, we have some smart men in our race. Okay, I'm gonna say it again. We have some smart men in our race. Okay, did y'all hear that? We have some smart men in our race. Yeah, I said it 3 times. I want to make sure that you all got that real good and clear. So with those degrees, you're working in some of those areas of your degree, right?
Yes, I am. I'm actually an educator, so I'm working in education. I've worked in education on the collegiate level. I work as a middle school teacher now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's one of my passions is education on every level. So everything I do is sort of centered around educating people.
Okay. Good, good, good. Okay. What are some of the hard lessons you have learned in the process of creating your vision?
Um, for me,
Mm-hmm.
and this is probably a universal principle, but one of the hard lessons I've had to learn is some people are not going to understand your vision.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are not going to embrace your vision. And so it puts you in limbo because you have to decide, are you going to go after your vision or are you going to go after the approval of people? And
Oh,
it could be people that you hold very near and dear to your heart, and they just don't understand what it is that you're trying to do, and that comes with the territory.
yeah, yeah. I understand that clearly because you can have a vision and you know this is the direction you want to go in and you start sharing it with your people. I mean, you could be so excited about it. You start sharing it with a friend or someone about the vision and they could shoot it all down with the words that they're saying, but you got to stay focused on it, knowing that that's your vision, something that
And,
you have seen that you wanted to do.
and even to respond to that, one of the things that, because I like to surround myself around very successful people,
Yeah.
not because of what they can do for me materialistically, but the wisdom. And
Yeah.
every person that I talk to who leads Fortune 500 companies, who leads very large churches,
Hmm.
one of the things about people as it relates to vision is make sure that the vision is protected before you present it.
All right. Yeah.
A lot of times we present our vision and there's no covering to
Yeah.
protect it. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a newborn baby. You don't want everybody holding your baby. You don't,
Hmm.
want everybody having access to what you're passionate about. So that would be one principle that I would preach to your audience is make sure that if you're sharing your vision, that you have your vision protected and that you're ready for the opposition
Wow.
that will come when you present your vision.
Right. And that's a lot of times how we will make a mistake when we going out telling our vision, we're not making sure that our vision is protected. Wow, a lot of us have made mistakes on that. And I can be a witness to that. I have made a mistake on that too, telling the vision before it really happened and not protecting it first. So now I know from here on out it's got to be protected. So people, please remember that to protect your vision. Do you believe do you believe in having a 5 year plan?
Not really. I believe in doing more short term
Oh,
things. For me
mhm.
personally, what has worked for me is because I once I have a vision, before I even mention what I'm doing to anybody, it's already been planned out. So it really depends on the project or the vision that I'm working on at that time, because some things I do take a little longer than others. Like I'm working on some things now that probably I won't see the effects of it till 3 years, 3 years from now. But
Okay.
I think that the vision should be clear.
Yeah.
And once your vision is clear, then you base your timeline based on, the work that is involved in making that vision come into fruition. Uh,
Hmm.
so I don't really put time stamps on, 3 year, 5 year. I look at the bottom line and say, this is what it's going to take for me to get there.
Okay.
And that's what I work towards. And sometimes it may take 5 years, sometimes it may take 5 months. It just depends.
Okay. Could you share with us at least one of the things that you have planned out and you have seen it come to pass, and you just look at it and say, "That's my baby right there. That's
Yeah.
my."
My company, the Liaison Initiative, and I started this company by accident. I tell people because I did it as a community just a community volunteer work. And I was meeting with some government agencies here in Macon, and one of the political leaders in the city, they pulled me to the side and said, well, we think that you need to monetize this because what you're offering is what people pay for. And so I did that, and within 4 months, I've worked with school districts, I've worked with Fortune 500 companies, I've sat down with various mayors of different cities and various law enforcement agencies to help them organize and put things in place to address everything that's going on in our country.
Okay, wow, that's beautiful. I see someone have a question here. Sharita said, "Do you think 5-year plans don't work because of the trend?"
It's not that I don't think they don't work. I think when you for me, I can speak for me because everybody have different leadership and principles that they go by. But for me, I just don't like to box myself in. And I do have deadlines that I work on, but I don't get into a hissy fit if I'm not meeting a deadline. And for me, I used to do 1 year, 3 year, 5-year plans, but then I saw, that's not my wheelhouse. That's not something that works for me. So I would say do what works. I would say do what works for you. In your particular vision, because some people, I'm a person, I can work on multiple things at one time, where some people can only probably, do one thing at a time. So it just depends. I have a lot of irons in the fire, even as we speak, that I'm working on. So I have to, more so than focus on the 5-year plan, I focus on the organization of everything that I have going on and prioritize it that way.
Okay. Could you give us some of the things that you like doing just for leisure time? Just some of the things you like doing?
I love music. I love reading. And honestly, what I do for my career is what I love to do, even if I didn't get paid for it. Because I love to read, love to educate myself, love music, love talking about complex situations and shedding light on various topics as it relates to religion, race, politics, things of that nature. Pretty boring stuff, but that's what I love to do.
Okay. See, even a lot of times when we are focusing on our visions, we are working and trying to stay focused on it and just working hard, tiring ourselves out. And that's why I threw that question in there, because sometime while we're doing our vision, we need to take out time to just rest, take out time to enjoy ourselves, and then take out time to just, regroup and then start back on the vision, because sometimes we can keep pushing the vision till we push the desire out of yourself to even want to make it happen, because a lot of times people will run into some stops in the road and some bumps in the road, and then they lose desire on focusing and sticking with the vision. So that's why I asked you that question, so we can say that even when you're doing your vision, you might run across a time where you might feel little discouraged, but keep on doing things that you like doing and get back to the thing that you want to do to make happen in your life to keep that vision going.
Yeah, and even to speak to that, I'm a firm believer in balance.
Yeah.
And whatever I do, and I have this saying: I do what I can what I do. Because even with even if you're working for someone else, or if you're working on your own job, you have to have a balance and not let your vision kill you. Visions were never designed to kill you or stress you out.
Right.
So if your vision is stressing you out, then whenever you feel stressed as a pastor, as a leader, as a business owner, it's time to back up, regroup, and reassess your strategy. Because I'm a man of strategy. The reason why I'm able to accomplish what I do is I strategize, and I like to make sure that things are organized properly.
Yeah.
Now, it's not to say that you're not going to be up some nights at 3 o'clock or having to work overtime to get things done, but it shouldn't be to a place where your vision calls you to have ulcers and and be unhealthy and all of these things. So I believe a part of vision creation is making sure that you incorporate your mental health
Yeah.
into whatever it is that you're working on.
Yeah.
I literally plan out time where I do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I literally plan it out where I absolutely do nothing. I don't take phone calls. I don't watch TV. I literally do nothing. And
Yeah.
so I think that has worked for me because I've seen what overzealous individuals who try and do too much without stopping to take a breather. I've seen the damage that that can do because you don't want to work, years and years for success, and you get to the top of the mountain and you can't enjoy it because you've stressed out the entire journey.
Yes, yes, that's right. True, true, true. Okay. Do you worry about your future with what's going on in America with our young people? With our people, I said that way. As a black man in America, what are some of your concerns?
I don't know how much time we have, but one of my first concerns is black men getting killed by law enforcement in the street for all of America to see, and there seems to be no real change that is taking place.
Right.
And it becomes disheartening as a black man or a black person to see constantly where people who look like you are getting killed and shot in the street, and no one seems to care. And then when you speak out on it, it becomes they're more so concerned about your response than the action that caused your response. So that's one of the things that I struggle with, as well as all the other black men in America that we struggle with, is the idea of being black in America, and it will literally cost you your life if you're not careful. So that's one of the things that I see in this country that needs to be fixed. I think our education system needs to be reevaluated. If we're talking about locally, I think our politics here in Macon needs to be reevaluated.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cause too much trouble on your show, but
Come on.
I think the politics needs to be reevaluated. I think we have unproductive political leaders in this city who are doing absolutely nothing. And I think we just need to reassess what's going on.
Yeah.
I think the religious component needs to be addressed as well,
Yeah.
and the balance of how there's no consistency as it relates to the religious component compared to the political and educational piece as well.
Right. Even as you were speaking, I was thinking on how, like you were saying, that it happens, and then when you respond and say something, that's not what they want to hear us say. But I've been saying around here is there's a cause and an effect. When they gunned down the young men and the young women in the public plain sight, and then they expect no effect to come behind it. But we as black people, and we as a generation of people, we know what has happened to us from generation to generation. But now it seems like, to me, as I used to hear back in the day, people would say it's like they are licensed to kill you now, and it's okay. But it's not okay because they're killing our children. They're killing our young men. They're killing our young girls in the streets. It's not fair. It's not a fairness that is component, a component of it in the United States. What I could say is, whereas there's no comparison to life here. If I take this life of a black man, it's okay. But if you take a life of another color, it's not okay. But we're all one. We are all human.
And I think that's the biggest issue, and we will have to go back and have a historical conversation about being black, first of all, in America. And so what has happened is black people have been oppressed for years in this country. And not all, but most. I would say most of white America, they are blinded by privilege, by
Yeah,
their privilege, and it doesn't make them bad people.
right,
They just don't see things through the lens that a black person would see what's going on in this country.
right.
Because if you can argue with me about, a black man being shot 7 times in the back with his 3 kids in the car by law enforcement and try and justify that, then that becomes a whole nother conversation.
Right, right.
If you can argue with me about, kicking a young lady's door while she's
Yeah,
asleep and shooting her and killing her while she's sleeping, then that's a whole nother conversation that we need to have. And
right.
I think all of this stems from the fear of white America,
Yes,
and because they know that they have oppressed African Americans for so long that it's
yes.
not that they fear our success. They fear that we're going to want vengeance more so than just equality. So
Wow.
that's one of the things that I believe that white America fear as it relates to why we are treated the way we are,
Mm-hmm.
and why there's no real change taking place. Although you see people
Mm-hmm.
literally getting shot in the street, and
Yeah,
there's no urgency as it relates to trying to bridge the misunderstanding.
right, right. And I done come to the point right now that I don't feel like it's a misunderstanding on this racial thing. I don't feel like it's the black and white race think that okay, yes, the white men are living in a privileged world, but we're not living in the same privileged world as they are. And I feel like they know what they're doing and it's intentionally being done. And the eyes of that we can see and America can see for them to say that it's not happening. That's not the way it went down. If you can see a video and you can see what actually happened, and then they'll tell you that's not what you saw.
Yeah,
That's the part that gets me. I'm looking at it, you looking at it, and they're looking at it. But they see something different from what we seeing that is happening. And I'm saying to myself, who's the one intelligent here and who's the one not intelligent here? Because
well,
we're all intelligent people right now.
and that goes to ethics conversation that I was having actually with one of my former professors about truth versus fact. And I
Yeah.
know people think truth and facts are the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but truth is shaped by our perception and our perspective and our implicit bias based on what we have come to experience.
Yeah.
Like for black people, it is a truth that black people are getting killed in the street.
Yes.
For some white people, that is a far-fetched thought that we feel like that because they don't see the truth based on our perspective. They
Mm-hmm.
only see what their experience has allowed them to see. So,
Right.
and that's where we are as a country. We have this battle of truth versus facts.
Yes.
Because you can't argue facts.
No,
You
you.
know, but you can twist the truth to make it fit whatever narrative that you want.
Yeah.
And the fact is that black people are getting killed at an alarming rate
Yeah.
in the street, and the reality that most of us don't want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
is most black men wake up, no matter how successful you are. We even had the former president of the United States, who's a black man, talk about, and we've seen the racism towards him.
Yeah.
So, every black man in America probably wakes up, and at some point, it could be for 5 minutes, it could be for 5 seconds,
Yeah.
and they think, I hope I don't get killed by a police officer today.
Right.
Or when we see a police officer, we think, is this it? And I know me personally,
Mm-hmm.
because of the way that my personality is set up, I don't know how an interaction with unruly law enforcement officer would go.
Right.
And that's just a reality that I live with every day.
That's true. That's true. Because I have had some run-ins with them too, with me in the car with my children. I can remember coming from North Carolina one time. I was coming from preaching, and my youngest son was driving, and my youngest son was kind of big, so me sitting on the other side of the car when the police walked up, he didn't see me in the car. So he immediately walked up and said, "Do you know why I stopped you?" And my son said, "Yes, sir." I told him what to say when he came up. He had his hand on the steering wheel. He said, "Well, license and registration." My son said, "I'm going to have to reach for the license and registration." And he had his hand on his gun. And I'm like, this man really got his hand on his gun? And I just peeked around and said, "Sir, he's going to give you everything you asked for." And he said, "Oh, I didn't see you in the car." And then he really immediately just calmed down. And then he gave him everything. And then we just drove off and he gave us a ticket.
Yeah.
And up the ticket.
I'm sorry.
Even after writing up the ticket, he wrote the ticket up with my son's name and everything clear as day. But all the information concerning him, I couldn't read anything on it. But I did my detective work. I did everything I can. I called everybody I could, and I got all the information I wanted and needed to get to make sure we got that thing straightened out. Because if I hadn't, it had said, would have been from out of town, if he didn't do it right, he was going to be arrested and all this kind of stuff. I said, "No, not on my watch, you're not." And I told the police officer, we was not speeding. I said, if I'm in the car with my child, he's not going to speed. I said, he just got his license. He just had it 6 months ago, so he was really creeping. But I said, well, we'll take the ticket and we'll move on. And we got the ticket and move on. But it could have been bad if I hadn't been in there.
Well, and one of the solutions that I'm actually working with Bibb County on is training law enforcement officers on interaction with urban communities. Because a lot of things, people may not agree with this. Some people are listening, but law enforcement should be mainly a customer service oriented job, because you are dealing with people. Of course, there are situations where you have to use lethal or non-lethal force, but that should be penalty for a bad interaction with law enforcement. Law enforcement should not be able to talk to you any kind of way and defy you of your dignity because they have on a uniform.
Right.
And someone like me, that would create a problem for me. And I understand that law enforcement have to do their job. I'm not one of these people who believe that you should demolish or abolish the police force. I believe that you should train properly your law enforcement personnel to interact with situations. I don't believe someone who is a 1-week-old cop should have a deadly firearm on them.
Right.
And those are some of the policies that I'm working on and talking to law enforcement about.
Yes, because it's a scary thing. You get out there, and especially when one pull you over. I remember one time one pulled me over and said, "Where you get this car from?" I'm like, "You stopped me because of my car?" That's what I said to myself. And I said, "I just got it." That's all I said. "Well, ma'am, I think you were speeding." I said, "Was I speeding or not?" He said, "You were speeding." I said, "Okay, I take it. Here's everything." Well, you gotta ask me where I get the car from, because a lot of them even racially profile you by what you're driving.
Oh yeah, yes.
Riding it. So that shouldn't even be an issue. Then you would pull me over, throw me on the ground, beat me across the head, and handcuff me because you mad because I'm riding in that car. That's the real issue. It's not because I was speeding. And
Yeah.
they really need to do. I think even before they even get on the force, they need to really go and see a psychiatrist. They need to get all this kind of issues and stuff out of them before you're dealing with the public. Because when we get jobs dealing with the public, we have to make sure that we know how to deal with them. Customer service, yes.
Yeah, and that's another component of one of the things that I work with law enforcement agencies on is because it's a very stressful job.
Yeah.
And I've talked to the sheriff here. I've talked to other law enforcement personnel. It's a very stressful job for law enforcement, and I commend them for what they do. But that should be an outlet, for them to, have access to free mental health therapy and mental health checkup possibilities, because the stress of life, the stress of not getting paid enough money to do what you do, all of that stuff can sort of compound to make a person sort of snap off.
Yeah.
Be it a police officer, be it whoever. We all have bad days at work.
Right. Yeah.
Unfortunately, for police officers, we can't afford for them to have a bad day because someone could end up dead.
That's true. That is so true. I see one of my audience was saying that their heart goes out to the two persons that was killed the other night, and they're praying for their families. We also are praying for their families.
Yes.
Same manner. But like I was saying, it's just a difficult time that we're in now. And when people are pushing their visions and trying to make things happen in their life and just going on a normal stroll or outside, doing what they do, and then things happen like that, it shifts everybody around them vision that they didn't have for their own life, because that person is a part of their life. So what do you how could we encourage people when you are going in the direction of your vision and life happens to you, something like that, you have a death in the family, in your family, or something happened? How hard would it be for anybody to stay focused on their vision? What kind of encouraging words could you give us?
Well, I think when it comes to carrying out your vision, I think that you should mentally prepare that there are going to be oppositions and obstacles from the onset. And there's an old technique that a lot of economists and a lot of leaders use called a SWOT analysis, where they assess the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of whatever they're trying to carry out. And I think it's because opposition is going to happen. There are going to be unknown situations that are going to come up that will cause you to sort of rethink everything. But I'm a firm believer that your vision should be so clear that fear is irrelevant.
All right.
And I think that if you, like you said earlier, if you write the vision and make it plain, it's not to say that things are not going to happen, but you have an end game in mind, and you have a bottom line, and you are a results driven person. So it creates motivation for you, because most times the person, your vision is always tied to your passion.
Yeah.
Most times, if your vision is not tied to what you're passionate about, it's going to be a short-lived vision. So most people, whenever something happens that, whenever there's opposition, or whenever there's an obstacle, such as a death in the family, or something, maybe could be a health issue, most people run to their passion as a comfort. So that's why I encourage people to do what you're passionate about, even if you don't get paid for it. Because when things get hard, if you're not passionate about, if you're a pastor, you're not passionate about pastoring, that when on your bad days, there's going to be nothing to wake you up to make you want to go in and deal with people. So there has to be something deeper than just financial gain that you're after when you are creating your vision.
Yes. Because a lot of people do get discouraged as they go along the way. Something happened abruptly, then they just drop and say, well, I'm not going to do it. It's over. I'm not going to do it no more. But pick it up and keep on going, because things going to happen. It's going to happen, but you got to keep on moving. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people that are listening tonight. You're enjoying the conversation, and if you all have any questions, just post them up here. I think I see a question here. Okay, someone just replied to what you just said, right? Remarks right there. But we thank you all for listening in and hearing the conversation on tonight about your vision. I know a lot of you all that are listening, you have created a vision in your life, and it seemed like it has maybe have stopped a little bit. But Zach is here tonight to share with you, to tell you, because he just told us just then to keep on pushing, because things are going to happen. You're going to have things that come up out of nowhere. But long as it's your passion, because something that is you are passionate about, you're going to keep on doing it. You know, I'm passionate about helping people, talking to people, and finding out information so I can help other people. So that's my passion, is to help. And that's what I love doing. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to start this talk show, so I can bring in people that can help somebody that's in a position right now that need encouragement, or just need to hear a testimony, you know, hear about how you went through what you went through to get to where you are today. I know there was a lot of more things that you are doing in the community. I always see you out at events and different functions, and I see how you support others. What are some of the things you are a big supporter of?
Anything that promotes community outreach,
Okay.
anything that promotes education,
Mm-hmm.
anything that promotes the arts. I'm a very big component of those particular areas.
Okay.
I'm not. I grew up in church. Let me say that, but I'm not a real churchy person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't. It's just not me. Nothing against anybody who do it, but it's just not me to just go to church. You
Uh-huh.
know, church. If I like for things to have an end result.
Yeah.
Most times those end results for me to add my presence to it. I like for it to be something that benefits people as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I heard you say you was brought up in church, but you're not a very churchy person. You know, a lot of people, they're so churchy till they can't even work in other areas and help in the community and do different things because we're too churchy. You know, I was brought up in church also, but I like to do things because there is life outside of the church. There's life outside of the church. There are people that are outside of the church that you need to help. So a lot of times we have to reach outside of the church and see the vision of someone else to help them, while we still hold on to our beliefs and what we do and how we love God and all that. We don't lay that aside, no, but we still have to have some balance in there in order to help other people, because everybody else, everybody don't go to church.
In the church, and more specifically the Black church, more specific than that,
Mm-hmm.
the Black Pentecostal church,
Mm-hmm.
we have to do the Black Pentecostal church have to do better in the sense of being able to function and work around people who don't look like them, who don't think like them, who may not be a Christian at all.
At all.
But yeah, because there are some people that I've had to sit at the table with, and they're not Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, that's not my concern. My concern is the end result of what we're working on. So
Yes.
I think the Black Pentecostal church, we are decades behind as it relates to community activism, as it relates to a focus on education, as it relates to having a strategic plan in place to address the social ills of our community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to censor what I say, because I don't mind getting in trouble on my show, but I don't want to get in trouble on your show. But so I'm trying to censor what I say. But it's more than just going to church shouting and having praise breaks.
Okay.
And half the church is broke.
Okay.
Or they don't there's no focus on, you don't have a scholarship fund set up at your church.
Okay.
And I'm talking in general.
Yes.
And it's so many things that the church and the religious institutions have to sort of relook at, because there are going to be people who are not churchy,
Right.
that can help you get things done. So
Right.
we have to not be afraid to interact with those people.
That's right. That's so true. That is so true. But a lot of time, like you said, in the Pentecostal church, we limit ourselves because of maybe this person ain't not so churchy, so I can't deal with them. No, you got to know how to um, come to the table to work together. It doesn't matter what religion you are or what secular you're in the church world, but you got to be able to come together to work together in order to help the community. Because right about now, the community is dying. The community is dying financially, education, spiritually, all the above. But we got to be able to come together, come at the table, and make something happen in order to make it. I feel like the church, we could do more. We could do more to help the community also. And we need to get ourselves out there and make things happen for the people because they need us. And they need our advice. They need our spirituality. They need us also to just be who we are and not be so churchy and help them in the areas that they need help in. Am I
Well,
right there?
in full disclosure, I'm trying. I'm trying to filter my words, but I'm probably not the person that a lot of churches will call on, because of my views about certain things, and because I'm just a direct person, about what I feel.
Yeah.
So I know that I could possibly be considered, one of the rebellious ones because I don't subscribe to a lot of things that the traditional church, have taught for years, and we don't have to go into all of that. But what I'm saying is there's a need for that link to be reconnected as relates to church, religion, politics.
Yeah.
All of those things are interconnected. And so until the Black church really steps up and decide that they're going to focus on being a community-driven church, then we're going to always see all these murders. We're going to always see an uneducated community.
Yes, that's so true. That is so very true. What do you think about I know we was talking earlier about the churches. How do you feel about segregation in the church?
I think that it's a real thing. I think that we see. Um, I think that more people are when we talk about segregation. I think that there are churches that are diverse, and here in Macon, I've talked to some pastors who I have a friend who is a pastor of a large diverse church here in Macon. But I think there's such a difference of theology as it relates to Black and white Christians that it's hard for a Black person to go to a white church, and it's hard for a white person to go to a Black church because the theology and the perspectives, especially now, are very different. Most Black preachers are preaching a sort of liberation type theology, whereas a lot of white churches are preaching more of a grace theology where we're just supposed to forgive everybody for what they're doing. So I think this church is very segregated.
Yeah.
Not just by race, but by denomination. So I think that's that's the bigger picture that people really don't want to address. And I don't know if we have time to address it tonight because I would really, upset some people if we started digging deeper into that. And I don't want to do that. But yeah, so I think the church has been segregated for years.
Yes.
I think that we're seeing now more people flock away from, the white evangelical church and going back to their African ancestral roots of church. I think that we're seeing, and I commend our white pastors who are standing up during this time, speaking out against the atrocities of Black people, because anybody who know me know that, I will point out if you are a white pastor and you have Black members and you're not saying anything about Black people getting killed, then I can't take you serious. And I'm going to let you know point blank that I don't take you serious. So there's just certain things that that the church can do, the black church and the white church, it can be something going on locally,
Right.
where black and white churches get together to address all of these issues without there being, a clamoring for, attention.
Right, right. It's time for us to step up and, really help the community and help what's going on in the nation. It's a lot of us being quiet and being in our churches while this is going on. And we know what the Bible says, thou shalt not kill. It's just killing. And then even like I was saying this morning that even the Bible states about a liar shall not tear in his eyesight. We have heard so many of those lies that have been told in our faces, and knowing that we are intelligent people, we are able to decipher the two, the lie or the truth. So we are in trouble today, but I thank you for coming on, talking about your vision.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And encouraging people to write their vision. And like I was telling them, to give them a vision board on what they want to happen in their life. Even we need to write a vision about what we need to happen in America today.
Mm-hmm.
Write that thing out and see what we can do to contribute to make sure things change, or to see if things change. And the next few weeks, I'm going to be on the show, and I'm going to have a young man on here with me. We're going to talk about voting and why it's important to vote. And we're going to bring up certain things, historically, and we're going to do he done a lot of research that we're going to do some background checking on everything that has went on in America to educate some of us that don't even know a whole lot of things that is behind this voting and behind how it is important to do it, and that your vote do count. Your voice do count. If you don't get involved and don't vote, you can't say nothing.
Well, and I mean, our country is a literal example of what happens when there is no vision.
Right.
And we can take that principle and apply it to our personal, endeavors. Wherever you see chaos and disorder and everything that's going on, it's a lack of vision.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing in our country is from the president all the way down to Macon, there's a lack of vision. And I'm not saying that whatever vision that is put in place that we have to agree with,
right.
But because vision it shows structure.
Yeah.
So right now, as it looks, with this particular president, there's no structure, there's no order, there's no sense of anything other than selfish motivations to win re-election.
It's all about winning, all about winning. But when there's so many people in America are dying right now, and we need to think about the lives of the people. I'm so glad you came on the show tonight to talk with us, Zach. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I will get you back to talk.
Thank you.
But I thank my audience on tonight for tuning in and listening. And, I just wanted to know if anybody had any questions that they would like to ask Zach on tonight. I know that you enjoyed the conversation, and we're going to get even more into the conversation of what's going on in America on Thursday and next Sunday also. I want you all to tune in and to listen. I'm going to have this young man on. He is very, very educated in these areas, and we're going to talk about it. And if you have any questions, we want you to ask the questions. I'm sure you all enjoyed the show on tonight. I enjoyed my guests, and I thank all my audience for coming on and listening to the Tammy Talk show on tonight. I will encourage you to share this video here. Share it with your friends. Let them hear what we talked about tonight. I'm sure there's a lot of people in America today. You are concerned with what's going on. And like Zach just told us just then, he was just letting us know when you don't have a vision, oh my God, this is what will happen in your life. So we hope you all will latch onto a vision, latch onto the vision of America, what America could be like, what it could be like for all of us, not just some of us, but all of us, because we're all here and we want to contribute everything we could. And we want to live a long life and a good life in America. A lot of people want to live a long life. They don't want their life abruptly interrupted and taken away from them and the loved ones taken away. So let's get this vision on point. Let's see the vision of 2020 ending real soon in December. I know a lot of you all are ready for 2020 to be gone and to start over in 2021, because 2020 came in with a bang bang. I'm telling you, it came with a bang bang. But hopefully it will leave out and we can start something fresh in 2021. Thank you all for joining us on tonight. Again, Zach, I'd like to thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For you, and I will invite you back, as I've already said. My guest, I love you. I thank you. And tune in next time to the Tammy Talk Show on Thursday. You will enjoy the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.